go. Okay, so it's been, I don't know how many months anymore it's been since I recorded a session. I've recorded all the book clubs as always, but we haven't had a recording in a while. And the reason is just for the sake of documentation, right? For the future autistic people. We completely revamped the AST of the compiler in a way that was very time consuming. And I really hope Marinho doesn't do that anymore. So because that took a lot of time.
Well, I don't plan to, but no promises.
Yeah, so essentially there's no clause anymore. So long story short, let's try to summarize it because I have things to do today. Uh, oh, I should also document GambiConf approved the talk that we're gonna be. Uh, it's already in the works, like 90+% done, actually. But going back to the code, so we nuked the clause, and now we have a module. And essentially, this is this contains the same information as before, but the way that it's structured is more convenient, right? And
It's more precise as well.
it allows, well, it is more precise, but in the sense that um, instead of doing the checks at runtime level, we're doing it at compile time level. Because again, the same information is here. Everything here could be done in the way that it was before, but it would be more annoying, less performant, and more error prone, right? And we are trying to cut all of those problems by putting things on a type level check, so compile time, more convenient, and we only do a single pass. We do less passes on the data because it's already segregated properly instead of us have to do it on the spot. So those are the three reasons that we did that. And that means that we are using shitloads of type variables to allow the types to forbid us from doing bullshit. This also means, I think 2 days ago, the session that we made the compiler functor finally got public. And now the preprocessor is also a functor. And this refactor also changed that because we noticed that preprocessing is also target dependent.
Yeah. Functors are good, actually.
Yeah, they're pretty awesome. They're actually pretty awesome. We are not doing anything that couldn't be done via type class. But well, we are in OCaml. This is the idiomatic way of doing that. And there's that. There's that. And what I will be doing? Okay, and we also did, which reminds me, I have to do a pull. So let me check to master. Let me pull that. Which branch I'll be working on, Marin? Oh, there we go.
Uh,
Sakura
oh, we
integration
found it.
query.
That reminds me. Did you make a branch for the documentation changes?
Uh, what do you mean?
Because like we were working on documentation on last weekend, or was it the previous one?
We were working on that. That's true. However, that is not supposed to go in this repo.
Okay.
Oh yeah, we did have. Yeah, this is. Wait. Okay. This is only on master. This is not in here. We added ODocs to this entire module, and we'll be slowly adding offline ODoc documentation to all of our modules. Slowly. And what Marinho said is also important for documentation purpose. So we are uh, we're trying to make the ground, like the upfront cost of new people to help us with our project. we're trying to lower the upfront cost. There are a couple of ways that you can do that, right? You can do that. You can do educational material to teach the people and train them, and you can also document your code base. You can write and draw diagrams and write documentation on how shit works on like an intuition level. And that's what we've been doing because it's very obvious to me that there are a lot of decisions that we made in our compiler. Probably that's worse in Sakura, I imagine. But there are a lot of decisions that we've made that are not obvious to the naked eye. And the only way to fix that is to write documentation and document your code base. That's it. That's the minimum, I would say, actually. Why is that the minimum? Because you're assuming people read.
Well, if they don't read or can't read for some reason, they cannot possibly help with the code, right?
Yeah,
So
but
it's safe to assume that.
we could bet on a lower bar. We could bet on like watching a video. We could do that. You could put unlisted videos on YouTube explaining everything, but that would be a lower bar, and we prefer to write things because we are that old school. Okay.
Writing things is good, yeah.
Anyway, and what we are here today to do, we have to do two things today. No, preferably three things, but I don't have faith on the third one today. We have first to pass down configuration for Sakura from OCaml to Kundin. That's the first. The second is to attempt to write a program that actually interacts with Sakura running in my computer. And Mageta is not here today for now, but he actually gave me the steps on how to do that. And then third, I would like to check with triple check with Marinho if the presentation, the Karuta presentation, is actually up there in terms of quality, because I am kind of like I have to send the artist the notes from Tevo, so I have to swap the cards assets. But in terms of content and in terms of notes, I'm done.
Yeah, I do have to look at that. That is true.
So if we had time for that, that would be great. But let's start with the first task. So as far as I remember, we have a main.ml, which by the way, I finally added a shortcut to do this. So that's great. uh, we have this process. Oh yeah, I created this function, void function. Yeah, that's cool. That's actually pretty cool. And what I gotta do is actually, so where are we using these options? We're using over here. Okay. We have to grab this, and we somehow have to pass that down. So my initial intuition is that this probably should go into the compiler. Am I wrong?
The Sakura options, right?
Yeah. So if I search for
Um,
options, oh, there we go.
Actually, that only needs to go to the part that emits the entry points. It's not relevant anywhere else.
Oh, but that's very deep down in the entire thing.
Uh, it isn't actually. It's like chronologically later because it's the last thing we do, but it's not particularly deeply nested.
Yeah, I don't understand. To me, that's 1,000% deeply nested, and I'm gonna justify my understanding. So my understanding is that that needs to happen when we call start function. So there's this thing, and I need to do a done build. Wait, what? Ah, okay. Nix got confused. Okay. Okay, wait a moment. Dune build. There we go. Okay, so we have this thing, right? We have this thing, and we have to go all the way here, right? And if you search for LSP find, that's not correct. Let's do the old grep. So grep run lazy. Actually, we're not calling that. Interesting. Okay,
Huh,
so
we aren't.
that's the beginning of the problem. We have to call this, and there is another problem. This should receive another argument, which is this map. Or at least it should receive a type, a value of a type that can be converted in here to a map creation process. Not process, a map creation AST thingy.
Ah, yeah, we actually aren't. It's in lib/entry point. That's where we're supposed to be calling it, but we aren't.
Ah, that's why you said what you said. Because entry point is actually detached from the. Actually, we haven't commented this, right? So I don't know how far the old recording goes, because we may have done this throughout the process of refactoring. I think this has been recorded, but just for the sake of it, I'm going to explain. We actually have executables now. Um, we have a whole thing. We updated the CLI. We have executables. We already have pre-baked support for compiling libraries, things like that. And entry point is the name that we gave for the. Well, I think they should be called executable actually.
Entry point executable, they're both okay. It's the program that you run to actually execute your code, right?
Yeah, but executable to me doesn't lead you to a question. Entry point does. It's an entry point of what? So I prefer executable.
That's fair.
Let's actually just change that. That's easy. Executable. I think that's more obvious. Let's check how bad this goes. Yeah, this is terrible. Every OCaml person in the planet should be embarrassed. Uh, we have been facing that problem ever since we upgraded to the latest OCaml. Which and then people ask the question, why don't you upgrade? Well, now you know. Thank you. Okay, we have an executable. So in here we should be doing something about it. But first of all, this should receive another argument, right? That we have a payload in here. We need to have a config, right? And this lives in here, I think, or something, right?
Uh, I'm pretty sure that's the Sakura. Um, I'm pretty sure that's the Sakura value in the record.
Oh, there's this. It's this.
Yeah. Root module, a transport.
Yeah, which is what we want, right? I think that's exactly what we want in here. And
I think we're already emitting that, no?
wait, there's this. There's this actually. We made the segregation. We don't need this. Yes, it is in here, right? Have we done this already? Okay, so the beam, these things, this can just be nuked. Nobody's
Uh,
using this.
I
So all
mean,
of that effort was for nothing because this is new, right? From last time as well.
I guess.
Okay, that's cool. So let's actually remove that. I actually, because we have Git, I want to delete everything that is not being used. This is not being used. No, I should not trust that. Uh, but I think I will. Oh, actually I can't. Okay, that's great. LSP restart. That's very sad that LSP does that. Yeah, this is just broken. Okay, cool. So let's actually call cunning start. Nobody's using start, so that seems to be true. What am I doing? I can just do this. Don't build the thing, and it's gonna tell me immediately which ones are needed and which ones are not. I think nobody's using this. Yeah, nice. These ones I'm pretty sure we are using. Um, let's double check that. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, those are in the code gen
Yeah.
for
So these can die.
um, predicates, I'm pretty sure.
Are we using these by any chance? We are using equals,
I don't
and we
think
are
we're using
using
net.
net. We are.
Oh no, we are using net.
Eh.
Okay.
And then this is the last one. We are using call with fresh. Okay, so these are the minimum necessary. Man, okay, wait. So we can just do that, the thing. We have everything ready. Am I wrong?
Let's see. Let's see.
Because last time, we should also explain this. We implemented this function. We actually implemented this function. Ah, that reminds me. There is a cleanup thing that we can do. We can pull this off. Okay, so I remember. Yeah, this thing. So here's the problem. We have these tags here, and we have the supported directive so far, but this is not associated with these. You see the problem? Well, you see the redundancy?
Uh, do they have to be though?
What do you mean? Do they have to be redundant, you mean?
No, I mean, do they have to be associated with the other type?
No, but they of course they should. What do you mean? I don't think we should have this at all.
Hmm.
I would like to be able to deduce the supported directives list by the tags of this other type. Do you see what I'm saying?
Um. Can OCaml do that?
I think it can, but we have to check the docs to see how enumerate works. So let's actually go there. ppx enumerate OCaml. Let's see how bad this shit show is gonna go. What about our record? Okay, records and tuples. Produces this val whose value is equal to I don't think that's gonna cut it. We kinda need an ADT. Yeah, actually, we need this, right? This is even like more powerful. We'll produce this full bar true bar false. We want none of these, right? We actually want none of these. So I guess that means that we have to do the conversion manually, I think.
Hmm.
Yeah, let's do that. Because I remember this from before, and I don't like this at all. The only problem is that I am not really sure. eh, I don't think we're going to be able to do these anymore because of the nested types in the tags. But supported directives, we should be able to. Let's actually make a. I hate when it does that. Let directives to string equals function. So if you have a persisted, we're gonna say persisted. And if you have ephemeral, ephemeral, constraint, constraint. There we go. Then in here, we actually won't do this anymore. We won't do directives to string, and this should be all directives. And then we have this other guy called this, which is using current directives thing. And do we need this actually?
We do because we need to know. We need to know. Actually, do we?
We are using line 30 as well because of line 26, of course. My question is, can we pull this off without using metaprogramming?
Hmm. That's a good question, actually.
I don't want to create a type using metaprogramming. We just want the tags, we want to discard the payload, but we want at compile time to be able to bind those two things. Current directive we don't need. I specifically remember why that was. I think I was the one that suggested the use of that. And the reason before was because I wanted to be able to go here in this function, receive the compiler, poke the inner state, and discover which declaration type we were in, so persisted, ephemeral, and constraint, so we wouldn't have to do this. Because if you have this, the one doing the check is the caller, and we would be doing the check ourselves, so you could keep the API simpler. That's why I made the suggestion back then.
Uh, well, current directive. Didn't we need that because we didn't have the we didn't have the proper types before, right?
Ooh, wait. We are doing special shit. We are using it actually. Believe it or
Hmm.
not. Ah, okay. Actually, I was wrong. We still need to remember which directive we are in because we need to know where to put the current module or signature that we are compiling. Interesting. We need to know our parent. Well, we could do this with the parent. We don't need this pedantically, I think.
This function is recursive, Lemus. Very deeply recursive. This is to forbid having modules and signatures inside of the Sakura directives, I think.
Ah, okay. So I was mistaken. This is required. Okay, so we have very strongly to pull this off. Do we have to create a meta program?
Hmm.
I'm starting to think we will have to.
I mean, theoretically, I'm pretty sure if you look at the Sakura types for the directives, right? Um,
You mean
if we
those?
ever, yeah, those. If you ever get to a point where I don't think we actually have that possibility anymore because the preprocessor should catch it, right? It should error out if you see a module inside of one of these three, because otherwise it won't be able to construct this type.
No, yes, but using the previous approach, we had two sources of truth. The directive type and the directives type. And there's clearly one that is more important than the other because of what you said. The preprocessor uses directives, but if that's the case, I would like to have a single source of truth.
Which is fine, I guess.
No, it is, well, right now it isn't because of line 26 and line 31.
Well, we can just replace it with. Actually, this doesn't work.
So the only way that but we either go back to the previous solution, which is to just
Uh,
accept two sources of truth,
no,
or
actually, what I meant is, do we actually need to do this check to error out? Because like the preprocessor tries to construct an instance of directives, right? When it reads the source code after the parser.
it does.
While it does that, it needs to check the contents of each directive, right?
It does.
What do we do if we hit another directive nested inside of it?
What do you mean?
Like if you're pre-processing a persisted directive and you hit another nested directive inside of it, what are we doing?
That shouldn't be allowed at all.
So that should be an error, right?
Yeah.
Which means that the check that we're doing over there to like error out if we have a module or a signature inside of a Sakura directive should never actually be possible at
No, no, no,
runtime.
no. No, yes. Okay, let me elaborate. It is totally possible to make this never happen at runtime. I'm trying to make the types uh, be more. Do the check at compile time. Like I would like these things to break if we do something non-exhaustive because of this type. Like
If
I
you
I don't want to have two types to say the same thing. Does that make sense?
Uh, that's fine. But the thing is, I'm trying to think if we can't just get rid of the current directive in the inner state entirely.
Yeah. Well, but then how are you gonna forbid the nesting thing?
The preprocessor, I was just saying.
Oh no, but then that's not removing. That's just moving.
Well, but then we can remove the directive type that you want to remove, you see?
I don't think so because the preprocessor we have to have this notion of what thing are you in. Am I wrong?
Uh, it needs to know that anyways because it needs to spit out the instance of directives. Actually, the preprocessor is parameterized precisely for that reason, no?
Wait. Okay, so let's go to the preprocessor, and it's gonna be preprocessor target specific. So it should be these actually. So what you're telling me is in preprocess directive. You want to move the nesting check to here, correct?
Yes, basically.
Okay, so where do you plan on doing that?
Uh,
It will have to be inside of these preprocess bodies, no?
Sakura exclusive directives can only have one body, blah blah blah. Yes, we need to.
Actually, we don't care about the bodies. We could check in here immediately
We're
after
already
this.
we're already doing it, no? Line 43.
Well, but this is not talking about the generic directives, right? Because if you take a look again on shared, not shared actually, this, ah, this, this is here because of the shared stuff. That thing that we saw over there can only catch if you're nesting target specific things, no?
Well, that's what we want to prevent.
No, no, we want to prevent all the nesting actually.
Do we?
Yeah, if you have a
Look
module
at what.
inside of a module
Look at the
in
definition of forbid nested lemmings. We literally had this conversation last time. I'm pretty sure.
are not allowed inside of Sakura directives. Directive started here. Well, I don't see how this helps. So there is a prefix.
We're pattern matching on an option. You see?
Yes.
Where does the option come from?
Well, it comes from here because it comes from here.
Okay, and where do we set the current directive inside of the state?
Nowhere.
Are you sure?
Uh, yes. Yes, I am.
Hmm.
Like we can still do what you said in the preprocessor level. I still think that's the correct approach.
I'm pretty sure we're already doing that.
I
Because
don't
what
think
that
we are because
we are what
let
the
me
check
elaborate.
does it's okay.
This is you are correct about this, right? Sakura's directives are not nestable, but again, this is only happening on target specific preprocess directive. I don't think this is happening at all inside of preprocess shared, which is where the module stuff lives.
Which it shouldn't actually.
But
Like
how
the
we
whole
you,
the whole reason we did that, Lemos, to begin with was because we didn't have the proper types, so we had to check everything dynamically. Which means that in order to prevent a directive nested inside of a Sakura directive, we had the state, like we had mutable states in order to do that.
No, yes, I don't think we need that anymore. I'm just trying to explain to you why I think we are not doing that in the preprocessor at all.
We literally just saw that.
No, we were not there to begin with, right?
It's in the Sakura preprocessor. When we hit a Sakura directive, we error out if there's a nested one.
This is any directive. Okay, let me think for a moment. So if you have a module and then you have a Sakura directive, is that okay?
Well, it must be okay because the top level of the file is a module, logically.
That's a problem.
Why?
Because we should not allow you to have. Um, I don't remember the. We already had this conversation before. I don't remember what happened, but I think you convinced me to not make a file, a Sakura file, already a schema, right? That was my original idea, and you didn't like that. And I think you convinced me to use a module to say the schema.
It's because of the way Sakura namespacing works, right? Everything is global, which
No, no,
means
no, 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 no.
ideally,
Yeah, but at which point we decide this is a schema? I think it's a module, not a file.
yes, we forbid you from having
Top level Sakura
anything at the
directives.
top level. Yeah, so
Okay. This error message seems to be wrong. It's saying the same thing twice. Uh, yeah, this can be improved. Must have at least.
oh, they must have exactly one body.
Oh yes, but in this case you are providing 0, and in this case you're providing something that is not 0 and not 1, right?
Oh, but if you say at least one body, that may give you the impression that two works, but then you try two, and then that's also an error.
Well, no. I can improve this later, doesn't matter. Okay, so let's go back to the point. Can you have Sakura directives on the top level of a file? You shouldn't be able to, right?
You shouldn't be able to, and I'm pretty sure we do check for that somewhere.
Okay, that's fine. Let's assume that's true. You have a module, and then you have a Sakura directive. That should be fine, right?
Yeah.
And inside of a body of a Sakura directive, if you have any other directive, then it's not fine.
Yes.
And this should be supposedly checks for that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's actually test those assumptions. Let's go to the compiler and let's remove the nesting check, right? So we want to
Right.
remove this.
Yes, this and also on line 46. Because if we're not actually setting the state anywhere, this is not doing anything.
We have source control, so I'm gonna just delete things. Um, okay, okay, that's interesting. That's actually interesting. Now, let's go back to the problem. So the problem was here. We don't need this anymore. Are we using the thing? Oh my god. Man, we're not using this anywhere as well. We're doing something fundamentally fucked up.
No, it's because we were using it, but we aren't anymore because the new types make them unnecessary.
No, 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 no. But we are not calling swap. So something is fundamentally fucked up. And I believe it's in here actually. We were supposed to do something.
Uh, we need swap. No, actually, we need to call swap when we actually get to, um, well, when we actually get to handling the declarations. Because we need to collect all of the definitions that we're emitting to make the check if those relations exist on the database, remember?
I I understand. Wait, let's check the types again.
Because the state actually has two keys, right? It's a record with two keys. One of them we're removing, it's the current directive. The other one is actually the names of
Okay, you're
the
right.
relations.
It is this needs to be updated when compiling a declaration.
Yeah.
Fuck. Okay. What does that mean? It means that in here, actually, what does that even mean? It's actually, it is in here. It is in here. So after we do this thing, uh, what is the output of this function? It's a state. So okay, that's kind of meh in a way because I don't want to paste that code every function. Like we're gonna have 3 functions, so I'm gonna have to paste that behavior 3 times. I would like to not do that. I would like to not do that.
Uh, we can do that inside of compile persisted.
Yeah,
Well,
that's what I
actually,
just said. But I'm trying to think ahead because we're gonna have a compile ephemeral, compile constraint.
those three will probably have some overlap in how they are implemented. Um, so maybe we can exploit that somehow.
Hmm. Well, we're gonna have helper functions. But I would like to do this in here, if possible.
Because like the actual bean code that will need to be emitted for a relation um, will pretty much always be the same, right? It's just going to be a query, at least initially. Eventually, we're going to get into optimizations, but for now, like as a baseline, uh, the code
Hmm.
that we emit will be pretty much the same, where we only need to parameterize over the name of the relation, right?
Yeah, but I'm trying to figure it out if we can understand which declarations got compiled after the call of this. I don't think we can.
No, we can just do the mutation inside of compile persisted.
Yeah, but that's the thing I'm trying to avoid, man.
No,
Like,
no, no. Go into compile persisted for a second. Uh, okay, full
we
name,
can, we
blah blah
can
blah.
we can just do what you said, but I just said I'm trying to prevent that from happening.
No, no. What I'm saying is the bulk of this code will be shared between the three compile functions.
Well, I also understand that. That doesn't. That still apply. What I said still applies. Because the thing of the matter that's going to change is probably this, right?
No, actually, that's the part that will change the least.
Unlikely. Are we going to use the same ask function for everybody?
Well, yes, ask is how you call a query. The predicates needs to run queries, so they all need to call ask.
That's not that's not how that works in my head. Ask is for DRL. That's it.
Yes, at
Which
runtime, that's what we're gonna use.
exactly, but the other things like constraints and stored procedures, they are not DRL at all.
They will not generate a predicate then, I guess.
They will generate something that needs to be exchanged with the database, but they are not for retrieval. They are not for retrieval. So I was thinking we would just use another primitive in the coding. So wouldn't be ask at all.
Well, for constraint, hmm.
I don't know what's gonna be, but I thought ask would just be retrieval. Only that, for starters.
Well, for persistent and ephemeral relations, we're just gonna call ask. We are going to call ask. For constraints, I'm not sure actually.
Okay, let's try to. Okay, what I want to do is I think it's harder. I don't think we're gonna be able to do what I want, which is to call the swappity swaps in here, because that's kind of what I wanted to do.
Well, we don't want to do that because this is working at the level of an entire directive. We need to know the names of each predicate.
That's why I asked, can we know the predicates that were created after the call of this?
Um, I mean, if you want to implement a diffing algorithm between maps, I guess.
Well, but I don't want to do that. Oh, maybe that's already implemented. Oh, there it is. Okay, so how much responsibility do you want to put on compile persisted? I guess that's the question. Do you want this to also do that?
I'm okay with that actually.
Hmm. Hmm. So you want this function to be doing the creation of the bin expression and also mutating the schema thing.
Uh,
I think that's a little too much for a function that should just compile.
Theoretically, can we do that in the preprocessor as well? Actually,
Do what?
we can't, right? Because we don't have a compiler at that point yet.
Yes, we. Well, I mean, we could because we only care about the names. So theoretically, we could, I think. But I don't think we should do that because the preprocessor doesn't know. Well, but the preprocess clause, the preprocess starts directive does know, right? This guy knows. So in theory, we could do it in here.
Hmm.
We could do that in here.
The preprocessor currently doesn't care much about nesting, does it?
No, it does, right? It forbids nesting because of this.
Mm. No, I mean module nesting, not Sakura directive nesting.
Module nesting. I don't think it cares about nesting at all.
Yeah, because we kind of need the concatenation of the parent module names to derive the full name of the relation, right?
Yeah, I think that's a little bit too much, actually.
Hmm.
Because the preprocessor doesn't have notion of parents and things like that.
Actually, there's one thing we can do. If we do like before we compiled the definitions from the directive, right? We have a map of all of the declarations in there, right?
Yes.
We can just look at the keys, no?
Um, mm, 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 mm. But you mean doing that before compiling, right?
Could be before, could be after.
I
It's not
think we
like we're
shouldn't be.
mutating the map.
I don't think we should be doing that before because that may be wasteful. I'd rather have the compilation say, okay, you are good to go, and then I mutate the thing instead of doing it before and then we are out anyway.
Uh,
And okay, but okay, going back to the question though, because I think we are kind of going all over the place. You, in your opinion, after this point, we can safely mutate it and just call it a day. Like after you know that, like uh, after here, I guess. I believe everything else is pure functions and they cannot fail at all. I think. Oh no, that's not true. Extract variable can fail. So it needs to be after all of these things. Okay, so yeah, here. Here we can already do it.
um, yeah, we can do it there.
Okay. Now let's grab the swap function because that's not going to be used here. I still think that's too much responsibility for compilation. Compilation shouldn't care about that at all. But if you think that's a good idea, I'm gonna do that. So let's put swap over here. And then we need to do the thing. So where are we? Yeah, there we go. So we do this. Yeah, this is fine. And then we just we need a state. So let's go over here in persisted. Where is my compiler? It's in here. So let's grab the state. And then we do a get on it. And then we need to grab the schemas. And these will give us the thing that we have yet to make it compile. Okay, so now we are back to this conversation. The type T here is a directive.
Module schema.
How is this going to a plain string? That doesn't make sense to me. Yeah, that doesn't make sense to me at all. This seems wrong. This actually seems wrong.
Well, there's a to-do there.
Oh, there is a to do, but that is like when we do the type checking and shit. This is wrong even before having the types. What should this string be?
Well, it's the name of a type, presumably.
It's the name. Oh, okay, so these are the name of the attributes, I guess. Ah, I see.
Yeah, because attributes are labeled, they are not positional.
Okay, so these are the labels and these are the types, and then these two do makes more sense. Um, we decided to not do that, right? Last
Yeah.
time. Can we proceed without having to do too many hacks?
Hmm.
We can just make all the types strings. What do you say?
Strings.
Yeah.
Do you like stringly typed systems, Lemus?
No, I hate them very much, but I don't think we have a choice. So let's say that we just support a string.
Isn't string supposed to be lowercase?
No, because this is a tag.
Ah, okay.
Okay, now we have to fix this.
Wait, but that's wrong because we need to know the name of the thing, no?
We already have the name in here, is the key.
No, no, the key is the name of the attribute. What's the name of the type?
String.
So all the types are string in the
That's what I
database.
just said. Because I'm trying to figure out how can we make a middle ground, right? Because what is the full thing? Type checking the thing, right? So going through the
Well,
body and type checking the thing.
we could just leave it as like string lowercase because you have to remember those are database types. Those are extensible.
Oh, sure, but in the future, the extensibility will come by doing this, right?
No, because then we need to know statically all the types that the user can possibly declare.
Which we will, because we're going to type check it. We don't have user-defined types. So this is all knowledge on statically known.
Sakura has user-defined types, is what I'm getting at.
Wait, how?
A relation is a type, no?
The interface to create anything with Sakura is Karuta. Karuta doesn't allow you to do that. So how does Sakura can?
Okay, there are two levels of type checking. There's the type checking done in the database, and there's the type checking done on our side. We're not going to
Yes.
do type checking on our side yet, but the database does have types.
Yes, and for now, again, my proposal, I'm not establishing this, I'm proposing. I think we should just say that everything, every persisted relation inside of a persisted Sakura directive, inside of a module in a Sakura file, everything, all the arguments will be strings.
All the arguments will be strings.
Yeah, because again, we don't want to go all the way because that would involve type checking. But I think that this paves a better ground than just saying string in here.
Well, the point of using string in here is that, like in general, the types will have user-defined names. User-defined because you can declare them in Sakura, right?
You can't because the interface for Sakura is Karuta, and Karuta doesn't support that.
No, I'm talking about the engine, not the interface.
Oh yes, but uh, the ideal world, nobody interacts with the engine outside of here, right?
Why?
Why would you?
What if someone doesn't like Karuta and decides to make another relational language that wants to talk to Sakura?
No, then that's their problem. We're not gonna do that.
But then if the two languages talk to the same database and the other side decides to declare a type that we don't know about, then are we just going to break?
No. If another group makes another language using the same engine for storage, it's their problem how to pass types to Sakura. Let's say Sakura supports everything, right? So Sakura supports primitive types, user-defined types, whatever, fancy types. Okay, Karuta does not currently support user-defined types, only primitive. If I make a language, it's called X, it supports primitives and user-defined types. Everything is fine, no?
Uh,
What's broken in this thought process?
what's broken is that you're saying, by defining a tag, which is string uppercase, you're saying that every type is called string in the database.
No, I'm saying that when we serialize this type to talk to the database, we're going to convert this to however Sakura understands this is a string. Which hasn't happened yet. We haven't serialized that yet.
Hmm. So are we just going to say string for everything?
Yeah, because to me, that's the best middle ground. What counter proposals do you have?
You can just use a string lowercase and just refer to the types by name.
Which types?
Whatever types are in Sakura.
I don't understand. We have a relation in Karuta code inside of a Sakura directive. We have a predicate with argument names. We have to say what are the types of those arguments. We are not doing type checking. How are you going to tell the type to Sakura aside from assuming one?
Aren't you going to check if the relation exists?
Ah, we're doing that. Okay. Um, okay, that changes things. That
I mean, we don't
changes
have to do that
things.
right now, but we shouldn't do something now that will make that harder later.
Well, I agree on that front. So what's your plan? We do the okay, but that kind of goes against what I was planning because I was kind of planning that we would just assume the existence of the relation in Sakura. That's why I asked Magetta to give me names of relations that already exist in Sakura. Because then we don't have to go through the hassle of discovering how to add a custom one. We can just poke at it with an existing one.
Well, if that's the plan, at least for the presentation, right? We can actually like just not do the checks when you connect to Sakura, right? Which means we don't really need to keep track of any of the relations that the user declared, which means, well, we
No, 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 no,
don't
no, no,
really
no,
need
no.
to worry about this.
No, yes, okay, that's a good point. If we go with my plan, we actually can just go to application code, see if the ask works, and call it a day, right? That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
However, I am afraid that if we make that decision, we're gonna skip out like that may be expensive later. So that's what I think we should assess. How far should we go, assuming that we don't want to go all the way? What's reasonable to go for right now?
Uh, right
It
now.
cannot take no, today is July. We cannot take 4 months. Whatever decision we make here now, today, it cannot take 4 months to implement.
Well, we can just not check anything, assume the relations all exist, and if they don't, we just fail at runtime.
Yeah,
That's
but
always an option.
yeah, that's always an option, but I'm afraid that's gonna be expensive later.
It won't. We're literally just not doing anything.
Yes, but aren't we making decisions then that will, how should I say, that will make it expensive to implement later? We're not doing that.
Uh, well,
Hmm. Actually, I think you are right, man. We can just skip all of this, but the work is not done because then we have a problem compiling this guy. This guy is assuming that compiling a declaration only involves Karuta, which is gonna be false now.
which guy specifically?
Declaration ML in Karuta.
Well, declaration ML in Karuta shouldn't care about Sakura stuff at all.
It should,
Why?
because if you are uh, qualified with the Sakura module name, that means that we need to compile you to ask.
No, remember, right now, for now, we're just always going to do the joins on our side.
Yes, but the data is coming from where?
Well, we're going to call the Sakura predicate that we compiled from the Sakura module, and that predicate is responsible for calling ask.
Ah, okay, okay. I confuse myself. The 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 Karuta compilation process just doesn't know how each declaration is implemented. That's on us.
Yeah, from Karuta's perspective, everything is just Karuta. It's
Yeah,
just that
exactly.
it just so happens that there's one module where we actually call out to an actual database.
Yeah. Okay. So that's good. That's actually good. Okay, before we jump the needle to just testing that to see if that how bad or good that works, let's fix this.
Okay, so we want to get rid of that directive type, right?
Yeah, we want to. Well, what I want is to use this type instead, right? I don't want to have a separate type to say the same information.
Hmm.
Actually ask how to create a type at compile time. OCaml.
Yeah, and it's kind of sad. If it was Zig, I would just generate the secondary types
Yeah,
dynamically at
I
compile
100.
time.
I know, I know. You don't have to tell me that. You can do that in OCaml though.
I have no idea how that works. We can
P
try.
PPX, of course. There's no way to do that uh, aside from that. Well, there is a way using functors, but this is a bad way in this case. I think we need to use the PPX for this. I do believe that to be the case. So my question is, the clanker gave me a code. I just don't know how to understand this. Generating a
Hmm.
specific record type from an external schema file, like JSON or GraphQL. That's terrible news. People are doing that? That's terrible.
I mean, if you
Uh,
want to have a typed interface to GraphQL, it's less bad than having nothing, I guess.
well, this is all open source code. Let's see what the clanker says.
Uh, what if we just use a functor or something?
Use a functor.
Yeah, something like I don't know. Um, module type. Actually, let me write this down in my editor. Otherwise, it's going to be
Let's
kind of
create.
annoying. Sakura types. Module type. Um, module type. Module.
Oh, I'm way past the time I said I would be here, but I'm here.
The microphone is wrong.
Uh,
The microphone.
there we go. Did you hear what I said though?
Wait, what?
I said I'm way past the time I said I would be here, but I'm here.
Wait!
Come on,
Marinho, Marinho, there is a one-line way to do it. I don't think you're gonna be able to make that one better.
Okay,
Let me
what's
get
the
this.
one line way to do it?
This.
Let me get this
Variants.
stickers.
Yes. And then
Okay, what does
apparent
that do?
that creates. Wow, that's loud.
Wait, is it not too loud? Let me mute.
That creates a tagged only version of the.
Oh, that's exactly what we want, actually.
Yeah. Oh, apparently you can use polymorphic variants to do that, according to the clinker. Yeah, but this duplicates the code. This actually duplicates the code. This also duplicates the code. Okay, the question now is, what happens if I do Dune build with this shit? Okay, cannot locate deriver variants. That means that we have to go to the Dune file and add a different PPX here, which is PPX variants, I believe. And conv. Unbound value. Wait. Do you have to also do that for the inner guys? That would kind of suck.
For the inner guys.
Yeah, because look at the error message.
Wow.
Uh,
Yeah, that's kind of sad.
Wait, let me continue poking. How to do that? I'm continue poking at it. Ah, that is a problem of enumerate. Okay, so the variance conversion is not the problem. The problem is the use of the other thingy. Enumerate here sucks ass, apparently. Okay. What happens if I try to enumerate? And that's gonna go bad, I think. Let's try. Ah, fuck. Ooh, wait. The clinker is telling me that there is a way to force this. Okay. Please works. That would very much save my day. So if we do it like that, oops, and do not build on it. Enumerate in the payloads. Oh wow, that's terrible news. But okay. That's actually terrible news. Terrible. Terrible, terrible, terrible news. Um, okay, let's undo that. It's very sad that I'm gonna have to do this myself. Uh, but then it begs the question if, okay, is the PPX actually the best way to go about it? Okay, the problem, Marinho, look at my screen please. It's not the variance. I think the variance is actually fine. I think it's the enumerate. Why
Can we
are we
get rid of
using...
that?
Well, the reason this was here in the first place is to allow us to have this function. So when we update this, this is automatically updated. Because if we don't do that, we have to remember to change the two places every time.
Yeah, that's annoying.
Yeah, that's actually pretty bad. Uh, uh, an automatic way to generate the dummy Wrappers for the payloads. Okay, now the clanker is suggesting something else. Let's try. Only 3 lines. What do I have to lose? So it is telling me to try.
Okay, what are you clowns doing?
We are making decisions that I don't know if they are good decisions.
Probably not.
Enumerate. Okay, so what we're doing is the following. We have decided that. Okay, actually before I tell you, we need to ask some questions. In the Sakura, can we straight up just like assume the existence of some relations and immediately do retrieval, or do we have to have a handshake first?
So it's a choice, I guess. So the way we do is so here's the thing. Sakura has
Yes.
a structure that it basically keeps in sync with what exists, right? But that may be costly for you to do it because you are on the network, right? So what does that sync mean in that case? Imagine you make a new query that creates a ephemeral relation, which is like a view, right? So you would want a reference to that thing, so you need to know if that exists. I
Yeah.
think it's safer and it's easier. Well, not safer, definitely, but it is easier and cheaper for you to assume it exists than for you to
Yeah.
actually check if it exists all the time.
We already are making machinery, which is this thing, to do the handshake later, like before doing anything. We actually grab all the relations that we accumulated, and we already do that, and then we just do the okay, Sakura, please tell me, are those relations with these types there? And then we proceed from there. However, that was going to require machinery for type checking, and we are trying to skip that because of the demo.
Okay.
And so if you tell us that Sakura must have the handshake first, then okay, then we're gonna have to do the commitment of type checking. If you
I mean,
say you can just assume they are there, then we are essentially gonna gain time
I
for
think
it.
that is safer. Just assume they exist.
Okay. Okay, so here's the problem we are now facing, Mageta. And if you have suggestions, I think Marinho is still writing the functor way of doing this. Here's the problem. We had a type called directive. That type was just a simple tag, just a collection of tags. It just so happens that those tags were also these tags, persisted, ephemeral, and constraint, but without the payload.
Okay.
I want to nuke the two sources of truth and only use this one.
Uh,
However, I want to all, and then there are two extra requirements. However, I want to be able to have enumerate, so I can have this function that helps the error message listing all the available Sakura directives. And I don't want to have to remember when I add a new variant to also change the function that creates the string for the helper. And so I want this all of directives thing, which is done via the PPX. And then we have the problem down here, which is in order to the future handshake to happen, we're going to have a relation name, which is this string on the right, and we're going to have a bunch of schemas with relations. And then we need
I
to
think
know which.
I think I lost you already.
Okay, wait, was my microphone or the thought process?
No, the thinking.
I'm using a new microphone, that's why.
No, it's fine. It's just that I couldn't keep up
Okay,
with
that's
the.
not a problem. I'm going to backtrack. We have this type called directives. This
Mhm.
informs the functor, informs both of the functors. We have two functors now. informs the preprocessor functor and the compiler functor what are the target specific directives that you have available.
Okay, so those are the, like, if you're going to make a constraint or whatever,
Yes,
right?
yes. And then we also have for Karuta, because imports only work for Karuta. Okay, good so far?
Yeah, so
Okay,
far.
then the problem is, before I changed this code, in the branch, in the latest version of this branch, we also had a directive type, which is not directives, as you can see.
Which is just a
Directive,
tag, basically.
yeah, the directive is essentially this guy without the payloads.
Okay.
And why is that? Is because of two things. First, there are error messages across the compiler trying to explain to the user what are the available Sakura directives. And the problem that I have is that when you add a new guy to the tagged union and you
Mhm.
don't use the ppx enumerate, I don't see another way that you will not have to remember to go to the string that lists the available ones and also
Mhm.
add in that. So imagine that you have a list of persisted, ephemeral. You have this on a string, right? So let
Yeah.
helper message, whatever. And then you have the things in here. And then if you add a variant up here, the compiler won't tell you, hey, this guy is wrong. So how do you do that? When we did spatula, the way that I did that was using the enum type class, which is in the ppx is this guy. And then that allows you to have a function that lists all the available tags. And it does that at compile time. So in that way,
Sounds like you want exactly what we had to do with the object manager and
Does
checking.
this work, Lemos?
did you finish the functor?
I posted it on the chat.
Okay, so Marinho got the answer.
No, yes, but this is the answer that requires boilerplate, which I already knew could be done. The thing in question here is, can we use a ppx to not have to write that boilerplate, which actually, now that I'm looking at it, is uglier than I expected.
The reason I wrote it this way, by the way, is because I could have just parameterized the type T, but then it would have 3 arguments, and as we added more directives,
yeah, yeah,
the
yeah,
list
yeah.
of arguments would just grow.
Yeah, so the available choices are the following, Mageta.
Hmm.
Either we do what Marinho just sent there, and we just have that amount of literally not that very useful code, but necessary code to make this dream happen, or we somehow bend ourselves to the ppx monstrosity thing that allows us to pull this off.
I wonder how difficult it would be to write our own PPX.
I think that would be a possible good
Okay,
direction
but
indeed.
here, okay, but I haven't finished to describing my problem. So this is the situation. The clanker said there is already a ppx. People already suffered from this problem before, and the ppx is variance, and
I
that
never heard of that.
and that apparently fixes that. But then I'm facing another problem, which is when you derive enumerate on a tagged union or a record for that matter, if the
Mhm.
payloads must also have enumerate available. And how do I know that? Because of this error message. So it's saying declaration env, I cannot find this function.
Mhm.
This function all off is the function generated from the ppx. How do I know? Because it's written in here. I cannot generate enumerate for this guy. So I need a way. Like this should be very simple, and I'm just not getting it.
Uh, Technically, we could just try to enumerate the variants, but can you actually do that?
What do you mean enumerate the variants?
Because variants derives a new type, which is just the tags without the payloads, right?
Ah, okay, that's a good idea actually. So your proposal is do this, and then
Mm.
this function will break, but you want to be able to do this. I see. I see. So
Okay,
nuke
I think
that,
I understand.
nuke that, nuke that. Well, let's see what happens. Yeah, it could not find all of the directives. So now let me take a look on how variants work. Can we enumerate the type generated out of the variant ppx from the original type?
By the way, the stickers, I think they're very good quality, but they're fairly small.
Can we order them bigger? Like, is that an option?
Yes, but I don't remember what was the other tier. So we just gotta remember that. Like I think they are reasonable for like cards, but I think you can barely read the text if we print with the cards and etc. But they're
Um,
pretty good. I like them.
we can ask the artist to remove the text from the cards and just have the images.
Then
I don't know if it's a good option. Actually, let me tell you what I was thinking before you screwed up my plan. I was thinking of making business cards.
oh, that's a good idea actually.
But the problem, the reason that I bent myself to your idea is because stickers allow them to immediately stick to somewhere that they will look at, and the business card they will discard immediately.
Yeah, the business cards usually go to trash.
Exactly. So
Indeed.
that is the reason that I thought Magetta came up with an upgrade to my idea. Because stickers are better because they have this property that some people would
Oh,
just
people
use them.
want to put on their laptop, right? I will do that. I already
Exactly.
did actually. I just glued my free software foundation. By the way, I just ordered a shirt and it's beautiful. I'm gonna
Okay,
get it
Marinho,
tomorrow.
let's try to figure it out. PPX variants
Damn,
conf.
man, Tevo just made a beautiful commit here. I wanna cry.
Really. Generator of accessor and iteration functions for OCaml variant types. Um,
One thing here though, Tevo. I maybe we don't want actually the start, commit, and abort. And that's something I realized when I was doing the transactions. It would be interesting to ask Lemos and Marinho as well, but just to be specific on this, I like the only point of contention is really the branches, right? So that is not something that we want to hand the user control of.
that
So I know it's for it can be for an intermediate layer, but I think we're better off just although that is for the module type. So yeah, I guess that makes sense. And we might even use on procedures now that thinking about it. Open on all the transaction, I mean. I don't think we need that for the storage, so we can make updates. Multiple nodes atomic. Multiple nodes atomic. Let me multiple nodes. Did Nathan show up today?
not in this call, but
Not so far, no.
he asked me about working on the CCS of the website thing, which apparently Benet couldn't make it fully reproducible yet, which is very sad. And I was
What made you
expecting
go
that
for
to
the
be the
geek side of
case.
Force, Lemos?
What was the question?
What made you go for the geeks side of Force?
I want to use my laptop to share the screen on the conference. And I think it's like annoying that I have to depend on either you or Marinho to bring you guys laptops. And the reason is because my Manjaro is fucked for sharing the screen via HDMI. So I was already thinking of installing something else.
Manjaro is such a horrible distribution. I'm sorry. I'm gonna mog you for that.
You haven't suffered enough to say that.
I used to use Arch Linux, man. That is suffering.
Uh, yeah, but I used more popular distros that frustrated me.
Oh, Arch Linux is very popular, and it's
It's
purposely
only
suffering.
popular across the nerds. You have to remember that I only got into programming in university.
Well, then it is a different story. Yeah.
So I wanted to use Arch, but I was afraid of it, so I chose something like Manjaro because of that. And it worked greatly until the point that I had to upgrade my system. And when
That's
that
when things
happened,
go
it
downhill.
broke in a way that traumatized me very
Usually
profoundly.
Arch experience.
Yeah, it traumatized me very greatly. And
I
I
don't get why you would use a rolling release distro that doesn't allow you to do rollbacks.
because you don't because I didn't know better. I didn't know better at the time.
Well, you technically can do a rollback. You just don't. You just can't clean up your computer, right? You just leave all the packages
Yeah, all
hanging
the
around.
trash. Like my world before Nix was like, I have this trash and I'm deprecating this trash, but I cannot bother to delete that myself because who does that? And then you just have the trash. You just have like it's a mess of having to deal with your path variable manually. You have to remember to uninstall bullshit. You have the situation of conflicting versions that only sometimes conflict with each other. All of that nonsense happened. And then when I got the new laptop, I was just using, like, I spent a lot of time customizing my system. And then I did an upgrade, and the screen went black. And I almost cried doing class. Something like that.
Did I
And
tell you my Linux story?
wait, and then Breno saved me. The Breno from Data Risk
Okay.
actually, because Breno said, "Don't worry, man. You just do this during boot up, and you have a terminal to undo the
TTY,
bullshit."
right?
And then I did that, and I said, "There's no fucking way. I have to suffer with this. This anxiety that I just suffered. There must be a way to not have this again." And then I joined Data Risk, and I was presented with Nix.
Which is 10
Uh,
times more threatening.
well, it's not, because even if the learning curve is bullshit, at least if something goes black, which already happened in my lifetime with Nix OS, you can at least roll back easily, right? You don't have to deal with that manually yourself. You just do arrow down during boot up and you're done.
Man, I don't understand the appeal of non-declarative Linux anymore.
No,
Because think
it's
about this.
because people don't see the value in on declarative stuff.
I mean, they do. They like the effects. They just don't know how to approach that. Like, for example, if I explain to you, hey, would you like to have a Linux where like technically Geeks is not even Linux, by the way. It's just a system, right?
It can run the herd.
Yes, and in the future, it might even run other. It's very modular,
Kernels.
right? Other kernels, yeah. Uh, I think there was a guy trying to run SEL4, which is very autistic, and I don't think he's going anywhere of that. But well, anyway,
It would be
you
kind
can
of
try
fun
it.
if we could run Gnode using Geeks, actually.
The Gnode would be interesting, yeah. But anyway, the what was I saying? And then like I used to use Debian. Okay,
We
Debian
are
was
recording,
my.
by the way, just for you to know.
Oh, that's fine. I'll just be brief then, so this doesn't take too much time. But I started with Ubuntu, and then I went to Debian, and then things don't break on Debian, but they're very the system gets very bloated, right? You can't clean your stuff. And then I went into Arch Linux because I was a masochist, and it's fine. It's just silly to like update your system and then a package break and then you have to go to forums. It's literally the worst is better because it creates a culture of a community dedicated to fix bugs, right? So that's why they have to write a lot of documentation, etc. It's basically
Well,
to
I wouldn't say having a community to fix bugs is necessarily worse is better, but okay.
well, it is a fake economy at
It
least.
depends on the nature of the bugs. If the bugs are coming from the abstraction, then it is.
Okay, one example. So on Nix, when something breaks like your GPU, there's probably 1,000 other people that had the same issue. And then you go to a forum and then they commit to fix that and it's done, right? It's fixed. I don't know, like Discord not updating, whatever, right? So, but on Arch, it's like something so like full of entropy and so specific to your machine that it's very unlikely that somebody got the same
I
error message.
I think it's very okay. Let me disclaimer. You're probably right on the general case, but my personal experience disproves that. Let me give you one example. I have since March to have a custom firmware patch on my NICs configuration because somebody broke the audio system of my motherboard.
Yeah,
And
that
the
is a problem. I'm
only
not saying it.
way that I
Yep.
could manage to fix that was because of AI. It's a patch that works. It's
Oh,
completely
but
vibe coded because I don't know the pins, the hexadecimal for my pins of my motherboard.
that is bullshit with your board, and not it's
I
not a fault
disagree.
of.
It was working perfectly out of the box with no hustle whatsoever. And then I did an upgrade for whatever reason that I needed at the time, and now it's fucked forever.
You said it's your GPU
No, it's my motherboard pin.
or motherboard.
Yes, I'm talking about the audio, specifically audio.
Well, then that is the most bullshit part of Linux, actually.
No, that's exactly what Tevo said, isn't it? Anyway, the problem is, I think you can suffer from the same hassle of, oh, this is specific to your computer and to your configuration. Good luck. I think that can actually that happened with me with the NVIDIA GPU as well back in the day. But of course, we can all blame NVIDIA on that. Fine. But I have the same problem with a normal motherboard, man. Same thing.
I cannot blame the operating system and the abstractions for that, though.
Exactly. And that's why I don't think this type of bug is worse is better. It's
Oh, but
just
I can
programming
totally
bugs.
blame. Oh, but I can totally blame a package conflicting with another, and then you are in a deadlock. That I
Of
can complain.
course,
That's a
that is bad
bullshit
abstraction.
abstraction.
That is bad abstraction, and that is worse
And
is better.
that's
That is
basically
why
Pac-Man.
I said that I think you need to check the nature of the bug to judge if the community made to solve it is just coping with worse is better, or this is just the meme. Don't do bugs. Like I think
Don't write bugs. Yeah.
exactly. I think that my problem is that, but the arch problem is the worst is the copium. I agree on that. But they both are bugs, right? They are just different causes of the bug. Um, anyway, and then okay, so that's why I want to experiment with geeks is because you already did that recently. Marinho knows a lot about it. I think Tevo also uses it. So we have a lot of people with experience. Uh, uh, I am the least knowledgeable about it.
I am using it, by the way, right now.
Exactly. And then I don't want to depend on you guys to share the screen on the presentation thing. So I have reasons to try something else.
Just one thing, Lemus. On the installation, make sure to choose not Linux Libre, okay? Choose Herd. That is the better kernel, okay?
Okay.
That kernel is much better. I guarantee you'll be able to share your screen, okay?
Okay.
Well, disclaimer: the herd is extremely experimental at the moment.
For 30 years.
Okay. Anyway, Marin, we have to make a decision, man. I think the Clanker was just confused with my request. It can generate the
Mhm.
PPX, which is the code that I just sent here. Which less nice thing do we want? The boilerplate of the functor that you made, or this thing that I don't even know how to start reading it
Uh,
properly?
we do have a variant thingy, right?
Yeah, but the variance thing it doesn't do what I thought. It doesn't create a type. It gives you auxiliary functions for free.
Yeah,
Like for
that's
example,
not.
it gives you Boolean checkers to see the thing. It gives you the inner payload if there's one. So like it automatically generates you functions for accessibility essentially. That's what variants do. The PPX.
That's very sad.
Yeah. What we want to be able to do is to create a type. Apparently, nobody created a PPX for that. out of the, like, I just want the tags out of this other tagged union. Just do that. Out.
Which testing library are you guys using, if you have tests? Do you have tests?
Yes, this one.
Wait, loading. Oh, alcohol. Oh
Output
yeah, that's
test.
the one I added there. Is that good?
I was pretty satisfied with that in the WAM version. Uh, it's exactly what I needed at the time. If it's good
Okay.
or not, I haven't used extensively to judge it, but to the point that I needed to do my thing, which was, um, well, we have a compiler. So, and at the time, our compiler was spitting out the result to the std out. So what this was doing is actually checking if the std out answer is what it should be,
Hmm.
or something like that. Yeah. So you see that there's file, and then we have the concatenation of the example file, and then we call the executor, which is essentially just removing the CLI interface, and then it calls the thing, and if it returns something, which at the time was a full VM, then we check if the results is this is the expected result, which is coming from some. Oh, it's coming from here. Oh no, this is not checking std out. This is just what, like, pure function checking. And then there's also the crawler that we made at the time to parse the output.
Right. That's actually, yeah, that crawler. It actually does a traversal of the memory following
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
reference
yeah, yeah,
links.
exactly. But this is, yeah. If you want unit testing, this was enough for me, and this
Does
was
that
not
have
terrible.
property testing
No,
for
I think you
like
need another
some
library. Well, I don't
outcomes?
think this library does that. You're gonna have to use another library for it. Um,
Well,
Property-based testing. Oh, there's
apparently
a
there
Q
is.
check.
Yeah, there's also an OCaml quick check. So
Yeah, that's the one apparently. Q check.
OCaml.
Yeah, it's based on
Uh,
Haskell's quick check.
Everything is based on Haskell's quick check.
Are they?
Yes, the Erlang one, the Gleam one, the
the
OCaml
closure
one.
one.
The F sharp one?
I believe so. Everybody says in the description.
Yeah, the closure one specifically. That's one that's very widely used actually.
Okay.
Man, what? Man, why do OCaml people do this? There's quick check and quick check 2. Like, what the heck, man?
And there's QCheck, which is a separate package.
There's STM, there's bun, and then there is PPX deriving Q
Well,
check.
but
Like,
STM is not the same thing as.
well, okay, it's probably just a component, right, for a state machine. But what the heck is it? The PPX
Wait,
deriving quick
STM in
check?
OCaml stands for state machine?
Yeah, that's what I understand.
Really? That's weird.
Yes. Let me see. STM, yeah, a
Well,
base module for specifying model-based state machine tests.
well, there are only
Wow.
so many TLAs, so there are bound to be name collisions, right?
Well, but I thought C Sharp and Haskell coined STM forever to be the concurrency thing.
Software
Software
transactional
transaction
memory.
name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but as I said, there are only so many TLAs, so name collisions are inevitable.
Yeah.
Are they? What if we are in Chinese, man?
Well, if it
But
was
those are not
Latin,
letters.
we can just swap the order of the words.
Well, then
Uh,
I don't think there's TLAs, right, in Chinese. I'm not sure how
Chinese,
that is.
yeah, Chinese characters are not letters, so strictly
Yeah,
speaking,
they're.
there are no TLAs in Chinese.
So that means that technically you have infinite amount of resources to express. Well, you do have that too in like a Latin alphabet, right? You just need to implement the word, but yeah. I guess
Okay,
that's it.
Marinho, have you made a decision? What are we doing?
Uh, let's see, man. This PPX code looks kind of ugly, but I think it's actually
Uh,
better than the
no, no, no,
trunker version.
no, no, no. But this is the clanker version. We're gonna rewrite this shit from top to bottom. Just because you asked how hard it is to create one. This is it. This is the worst it's gonna get because this is clanker code.
Hmm.
So we can go with that and just like refactor it to be nice. Uh, and have our own PPX because apparently I'm so like this use case is so fundamental in my head for tagged unions. I'm surprised there's no already established PPX that does this. Like I have the situation of having to list the options of a tagged union so often that again, maybe I'm just crazy, but apparently that's not a thing. Why? I don't know.
Yeah. uh, Let's go with that. Man, it's things like these that make me sad that this is not Zig.
Well,
But then I remember that we don't have to manage memory, and that makes me glad that it's not Zig.
yeah.
I-
Maybe you should write 50% in Zig, 50% OCaml.
No.
And that would be worse though, because then we would have to go. The two parts would have to talk to each other using the CFFI.
No,
You can always.
don't buy the idea. But what are you doing? Vegeta says something with a
I
serious
literally,
face. You cannot immediately buy it. Okay, here's the tip with Benevides and Magetta, and sometimes Belani. You can never do that. Arin, you can never just
I
buy what they
literally,
say.
I literally just gaslighted Marine, man. Like live.
Yeah, and they do that with a straight face. They're gonna be they won't laugh at you. They're gonna say it like it's serious. And from
Well,
Oh, you're telling me
past
it's not
trauma,
serious?
don't believe them. Don't believe them. You have to
well,
poke
I'm
it a little more.
considering because he mentioned it, but I'm not gonna do it because, as I said, the FFI part, like
Oh,
having
I
to.
was about to suggest you using protocol buffers to do that.
Yeah, no, but
And
that
then
would
just
give
leave.
you off because we know you hate that.
At that
Uh,
point, you may as well just use zero and do the functional part in Erlang.
of course.
Just do a Frankenstein, patch everything, right?
Okay, so
I
we
mean, we're
have
already using the
this.
bean as a runtime, right?
Makes sense.
Okay, so now we have to put in Dune file inside of libraries. We're gonna have ppx lib inside of here. So ppx lib. I wonder if this is in the flake. Probably it's not. ppx. It is. Okay, good. Good, good, good.
Devo, should I rebase the top of your branch? Or do you think that's craziness? I know
Uh,
you got from the branch the OCaml rewrite, right?
I did, yes. That
I
might be a
wanted
good idea because
Yeah, because you put a lot of like structure on the folders. I want to follow that, and also you're doing the storage, and I'm doing the planner, right? So I want to plug on the stubs you did.
that sounds good, yeah.
So let me do that.
the ppx code to add, enumerate, deriving to the.
What are we doing, man? Why don't we have like a Jira board, Lemus?
We do. You just don't use it.
I don't use it.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
you mean the
even
GitHub one?
yeah the project thing.
No, I mean like the whole ritual of like Scrum having Scrums
Uh,
and like what's the name?
Agile.
Yeah, no, but I meant the cycle.
Sprint.
Yes, we have a whole sprint for 2 weeks, right? Where we have to deliver tickets, otherwise I don't know.
The reason for that, well,
I'm not being serious, by the way. Please never do
I
that.
know you're not being serious, but I will be that pain in your ass eventually. I'm telling you already. In the sense that I when I go like when we finish this, and it's just a matter of polishing it and stuff. And I go to Sakura. I will try to establish some standards that
I'll
won't be on the
present
level
you
of
the
having
wording.
sprints, but it will be on the level of having, like, I don't know, more separation of things maybe. I don't know yet. I haven't read the code. But I can be annoying like that. Marinho knows that I can be annoying.
I
Uh,
knew that.
Speaking of sprints, that like whenever people mention sprints, that always reminds me of the Simple is Easy talk from Rich Hickey. He actually mocks Agile in that talk,
Oh,
Oh,
right?
but
everyone should mock
Magetta
Agile.
as well. What do you mean?
No, but he says something that is really funny actually. Like he was talking about the difference between simple and easy, right? And he says, okay, if you're doing something that's easy, you can go really fast up front, but then eventually the complexity is gonna kill you and you're gonna slow down to a crawl.
Mhm.
Whereas if you try to do something simple, you have to do some design work up front to make sure you have the right abstractions, but then in the long run you end up faster, right?
Mhm.
And then he mentions, okay, what kind of race? And then he makes a connection to racing, right? Foot racing specifically, where it's like, well, if you're doing a sprint, you can go as fast as you want because like it's 100 meters, right? It's literally just going to last a few seconds, so you
Mhm.
can go as fast as you can possibly go. But if you're running a marathon, you have to pace yourself, right? And then the joke is that as software developers, we actually fix the problem with marathons because we fire the starting pistol every 2 weeks and we call it a new sprint. So we can
Done.
go as fast as possible as we want, as long as we want
It's a
because it's a
complete
new sprint.
arbitrary and fake boundary, right? It doesn't do anything.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's the portion that I do. I also, well, we should be careful on what we say because I'm recording
Ah,
this. But
I have a YouTube channel dedicated to mock this kind of shit. I don't care anymore. I really don't.
you don't care anymore. Okay, so let's see if this even builds. Okay, so what do I need to do? It's saying ppx strip payload, library ppx strip payload not found, required by library, blah blah blah. So something in here is incorrect. Something in here is incorrect.
Hmm.
Interesting.
I wonder if you can actually do that in the same library that uses the PPX.
Oh, you think it must be another library?
I mean, it would not surprise me at all. I'm just guessing.
Sure.
It would be very sad though.
Uh, how to configure the file to
Because like
use
if you think
this?
about it, you're basically defining a function that's going to be hooked into the compiler, which means like either the language needs to be designed to do that kind of stuff from the ground up for you to be able to use it in the same compilation unit, like you can in well, in Common Lisp it's not really the same compilation unit, but it's the same file at least, right? Uh, but in a more static language, like it would not surprise me at all if there was a limitation that find this separate thing if you want to use it here, you know.
Yeah, so the clanker is telling me that it needs to be separate.
Which clinker do you refer to, by the way, Lums?
Right now, Gemini.
That's literally the worst, by the way.
The only one that could fix the Nix patch.
So you're loyal, essentially.
No, I actually use other clankers on a day-to-day basis, but just for convenience, for this type of stuff, I just try Gemini first. So this is asking this, but it is true. Only Gemini could help me with the Nix patch. I tried others before. Strip So the code needs to go over here apparently.
Okay. What else?
And again, we're gonna change this again, okay, Marinho?
Ah,
And
man,
just
whenever I
see if it
see
works.
a file as a module in OCaml and then you don't have control over how the name is spelled. So for example, if you have a file named vm.ml, if you import that as a module, it's going to be capital V, lowercase m, and that's it. That's so ugly.
I agree. I
Probably
agree.
there's a Doom config for that.
I indeed agree.
Is there any Doom config?
Okay, so apparently this is it. Let's do Doom build again. Uh, the current scope doesn't define package ppx payload. The only packages for which you declare elements to be installed in this directory are... Wait, what? What? Okay, I'm a little confused. Ah, wait. I'm trying to import this in another separate library. I wonder if I need to put this in here then.
You might.
So do I do this? No. It's specifically complaining about this. Specifically complaining about that. I wonder. Well,
You need to change the casing of the file of the